So the benefit of building and designing a custom home is that you get the ability to play around with form and design. And at Hart, we have developed a bit of a process over many years of designing new homes, and today I want to share these tips that we have in our process so that you have the knowledge to design your own home. Some of the key steps for designing your home are reading and understanding your block, building a design brief that you can refer to during the whole design process, going into a schematic stage where you mud map where you want to place rooms and optimise the house for flow, looking at form in terms of bringing in natural light, and then overlaying it with 3D and interior design. So we find that these are the best principles to follow from our experience when designing your own home. So before you put any pen to paper, I recommend getting a contour survey or at least studying your block. For us, when we order a contour survey, we study it and try to understand things like slope, where the natural light comes from, any obstructions like trees, rocks, retaining walls. Understanding your block tells us where we should be starting to position the home, at least in the early phase of thinking. So natural light is everything, and the ability to think about where rooms are positioned to take best advantage of that natural light is key. And this all happens with the study of your block. Equally, you can actually make slope work for your design, and actually having slope on your block isn't the worst thing. It actually allows us to design a home with a split, which can give a living area really nice high ceilings. When we start with the site and analysing it rather than starting with a Pinterest board or drawing on paper, we find that the whole design process actually goes a lot more seamlessly. So beyond just studying your block, it's also a great idea to build a brief. Now, one of the things at Hart that we do is we really focus on building a brief with our clients. And that brief goes beyond just thinking about rooms and bathrooms. It actually explores how you want to live in the home, the type of rituals your family does, and what sort of routines you do now, and also what you want to build into your home. A good brief actually also lets you explore what sort of atmosphere you want to create in your home. You might want a home that will energise you, or a home that is calm and tranquil after a busy day. And these themes and tones can be explored at this stage when building a brief. A well thought and considered design brief actually becomes a rule book for the design of your home, and it becomes a reference point for every decision through the whole design journey. So an example of how it becomes a rulebook is if you want to use a lot of brick externally in your facade, but you want to carry that theme into the home. You might start looking at things like batten tiles or thinner profile tiles so that you tie the inside to the outside. When thinking about your brief, we encourage you to actually think about the rooms that you're going to use the most. And so for a lot of people, that is living spaces, kitchen, dining areas. And those should be the areas for a lot of focus with budget and space. Not saying that bedrooms and those other areas shouldn't be uncomfortable, but a brief really lets you prioritise what spaces matter the most to you. And when you start to prioritise spaces in your home through the brief in terms of what you want to use the most, you can then start to think about budgeting some extra budget to those areas. So if you want to put some more money into your living space or maybe your dining, because those will be the most used spaces, then I encourage that, and it means you can pull back on other areas that might not get used as much. So when you are going through the process of actually prioritising which rooms are of most importance to you, you can then start to think about allocating some budget to these areas. I would always encourage allocating some money towards having wow areas in 1 or 2 spaces that are used the most or most frequently used, so that you can pull back on other areas that probably don't get used as much. Key things for a brief, I think, that are a must to answer is really think about how many rooms you want. I know it's tendency to think about having a guest room, but equally how often a guest is staying in your home. It's also really important to think about the theme and the tones you want in your home. I can't emphasise enough what you want to feel in your home. So for me, when I design a home for myself, it's all about having warmth for my family, and so that dictated a lot of colours and tones in the home needing to be warm. Now, you might want something a bit more tranquil and a bit more minimalistic, so you might be thinking about whites and muted tones and greys, but it really taps into how you want to get emotion out of your home. And then lastly, I think the brief is also an opportunity to explore what rituals you want to add to your life. Now, just because you in your home don't currently do yoga, that doesn't mean that you can't plan for it in your next home. And so I think The brief is also thinking about how you live today, but also how you want to live in 5, 10, 20 years' time. So once you've actually nailed your brief and you've analysed your block, the next stage is actually schematic design. Now what that is pretty much mud mapping and drawing and even creating a flow chart on your block. And the purpose of this is for it to be relatively quick, relatively dirty. If you want to make plenty of iterations and you want to be able to visually see how rooms look on the block, where they can get the best natural light, and start to think about connection and flow from a holistic mud mapping point of view. So the three big things you want to actually get out of doing schematic design is you want to look at the home in a big picture point of view. You want to be able to optimize your rooms to get the best out of natural light. So what that means to me is the kitchen, you might want to have morning energy, so you might want to prioritize bringing in some morning light into the kitchen. But then in the afternoon, you want to create a comforting space in your living areas, so you might want your living area to get afternoon light. So you really want to make sure that you nail this with the sun's pattern through the schematic design. So the importance of schematic design is that you want to walk away with three big things ticked off. You want to get a big picture view of the site and your design and how it all interacts. You want to be able to optimize your rooms to get the best natural light that it can. And lastly, you want to get an early view on how the facade and the exterior starts to come together. And as I touched upon earlier, this is a really good opportunity to almost build a bit of a flow chart with your daily movement and understanding which rooms will be used the most. And you can almost plot on the plan a bit of a flow chart on how you would interact and walk and use on a daily basis. And then you can actually design your home around those core central areas. So introducing form into your home, you can start relatively early before you start thinking about materials and selections and fabrics. It can actually be about the use of the walls and the actual structure of the home itself in terms of thinking about window placements and using negative space with gyprock and starting to think about bringing in things like atriums and skylights. One of the biggest contributors to form within a home is natural light, and I know I've talked about this a fair bit, but it is about prioritising living areas on the north and thinking about putting service locations such as your laundry or pantry and garage on the southern side. And then if you like morning sun, then you want to be able to put your bedrooms on the eastern side so that you do get that morning sun coming through. So moving away from thinking about sunlight, you can actually start to think about how you can design the home using just gyprock and window locations, and you might start thinking about using some negative space on the wall so that you can use a window to frame the outside, or thinking about how you can position an atrium to give volume over the entrance or a key living space. It's also thinking about things like skylights and potentially even thickening walls with double frames so that it adds different visual intrigue. So the ability to play with the timber stud frames and the gyprock to thicken things can create some really interesting recesses and look and feels within the home beyond just going straight into materials and finishes. Another thing about introducing some elements into your home is also playing with your ceiling line. So for areas where you want it to be a bit more cozy, you might have a drop ceiling, and then for other areas where you want to have openness and the feeling of elegance, you might have a higher ceiling, and you can play with these sight lines throughout your home. So plans alone can be quite misleading, and when drawing a plan, we're often operating in 1 to 100. So what that means is that for every centimetre on a plan is 1 metre in real life, and that is sometimes hard to grasp in terms of understanding proportions and spacings. And so for us, when we get to plan stage, that's when we're able to model the home in 3D. And so the tools that we use for this is we draw the plans in ArchiCAD, and then we take that out and we put that into SketchUp, and that allows our interior designer to start putting in materials and finishes, but also shaping, joinery and stone. Also to that, we can then take the design and put it into a virtual reality program. So the benefit of working in 3D is that when we get it into virtual reality, we can actually look at the space in 1-to-1. So for many of our clients, they can put the goggles on, go to the local park, and pretty much walk around the house as if it already exists. Or you can sit in your living room and toggle around with the joystick. And the benefit of this is that you can pick up on potential accidents before they go to site. So picking up on window heights and ceiling heights and joinery heights so that everything becomes unified and cohesive. So 3D is so readily available and accessible these days that if you're working with an architect, builder, or even a designer, you should be requesting to be able to see the home in 3D before you make any critical decisions. Good interior design doesn't actually need to cost a lot. It can be something that can be achieved with thoughtfulness and taking the time to think about the details and careful consideration over a period of time rather than rushing to a result. So for us, we like to have an interior designer paired with our clients from the initial brief and schematic design all the way through to construction detailing, because we know that through the critical milestones of building the mood boards and then seeing it in 3D and then getting the joinery designed and then getting the quotes, you're going to need time to have iterations and review and changes, and we want to be able to create a process that is relaxing and enjoyable for our clients rather than trying to get it all done in 1 day or 2 days. And we find that having an interior designer partner with our clients for that period of time has made the journey a lot more enjoyable. The benefit of actually having the interior designer on your project is that there are thousands of decisions that go into your home, and we want to take a lot of them away from you so that you're thinking on the big picture rather than thinking about the small details. So take a bathroom, for example. You've got tiles, tile shape, tile colour, grout colour. There's so many decisions in a home. So having an interior designer who can actually help guide you and take a lot of these questions away from you really gets you to focus on the overall look and feel and what's important in the home. One of the more forgotten components when it comes to designing and bringing feeling and themes within a home is actually landscaping, and landscaping can add so much to your home. If you think about a space and how you can design a window to then look out to a feature garden area or a feature pot plant or a water feature, that can bring a lot of nature inside the home, which, us as humans, we get this sense of calm whenever nature is in our life. And so I think it's important to think about the landscaping when designing your home. I think landscaping plays a big part in our identity to the block as well. And so a story I can remember is we had a client who had this beautiful jacaranda tree in the back of their backyard, and when we designed a new home for them, it was a priority to be able to see that home upon entrance into the home, so that when you arrive to the house and through the front door and look all the way through, you see this beautiful jacaranda tree in the backyard. And I think it's just a fantastic story with regards to the house. So designing a new home is more than just a series of rooms. I'm a big believer in starting from the outside in, and that is really thinking about your block, your orientation, moving to the brief, what a home means to you and your family, and then starting with the big picture and then working down to the small details. And if you follow this process, I believe you will have a very enjoyable design journey.